My name is Claire Shaw. I'm 35 years old. For 10 years, my parents called me a failure. My mother would look at my sister Nicole and say, "She married well, she has a real career." Then she'd look at me, single, quiet, wasting my potential. This Thanksgiving, I brought a guest to their house, 14 people at the table. My mother saw him walk through the door and her face went white. She grabbed my father's arm. Her voice came out tight, almost a hiss. "Get them out now." Too late. He was already speaking. Already saying the things she'd spent years making sure no one would ever know. What my mother didn't understand was this. I hadn't come to ask for anything. I'd come to return something she thought she'd buried. Before I tell you what he said next, like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely connect with stories like this. And if you've ever been underestimated by your own family, leave me a comment. I want to know I'm not the only one. Let me take you back to where this really started. The comparison didn't begin at Thanksgiving 2025. It began 20 years earlier in a kitchen in Darien, Connecticut, when I was 15 years old. Summer 2005. I was sitting at the kitchen table with my SAT prep book when my mother walked in, holding Nicole's acceptance letter from Boston College. Early decision, full ride. My mother put the letter on the refrigerator with a graduation cap magnet and said, "Nicole got a 1380 on her SATs. Why can't you apply yourself like that?" I'd gotten a 1290, a good score, not Nicole's score. That letter stayed on the fridge for 6 months. Every morning, I saw it while pouring my cereal. Every morning, it reminded me I wasn't enough. By college, the pattern was locked. Nicole was the golden child, student council president, dean's list, internships. I was the one who needed to figure it out. I got into Columbia pre-med. Then, Nicole got engaged. December 2011, I was 21, senior year. I got an email from my father at 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. "Claire, we need to talk about your spring semester tuition. With Nicole's wedding expenses, we need you to take out a loan for this semester. You'll figure it out." $22,000 redirected from my college fund to pay for Nicole's wedding. The total budget was $85,000. My parents covered $60,000. The venue was the Lace Factory in Deep River, white roses, string quartet, open bar, 220 guests, 5 bridesmaids. I wasn't one of them. I took out an $18,500 loan at 6.8% interest. I'm still paying it off. Medical school gone. I couldn't afford the debt without co-signers. My parents said no. So I pivoted to tech startups. Thanksgiving 2015, I was 28, working 80-hour weeks at a health tech startup called Pulse Health. Employee number 12, salary $60,000, a studio apartment in the Tenderloin with bars on the windows. My mother asked how work was going. I told her we'd just closed a Series A for $4 million. She nodded once, then turned to Nicole. "Nicole just got promoted to senior marketing manager at David's family firm. Real benefits, real salary, real stability. When are you going to settle into something stable, Claire?" Thanksgiving 2016, same house, same script. My mother mentioned Nicole's real career 4 times in 2 hours. I counted. I brought store-bought pies. Nicole brought 3 homemade dishes. Thanksgiving 2017 was the last normal one. 6 weeks later, everything changed. August 23, 2017, 3:40 p.m. My phone rang. Mum calling. She never called during the workday. "Claire, it's Mum. Call me back. It's about Lily. It's serious." My heart stopped. Lily, my niece, Nicole's daughter, born March 15, 2012. I'd held her when she was 5 days old for 20 minutes. After that, invitations became rare. But I loved that little girl from the edges of her life. I called back in 8 minutes. She has cancer, my mother said. Neuroblastoma stage 4. It's back. They're starting aggressive treatment next week at Connecticut Children's Medical Center. Back? I said. It was there before? A pause. She had it at 18 months. It went into remission. We didn't tell everyone. For 3.5 years, my niece had been fighting cancer I didn't know existed. What can I do? I said. Money, time, I can fly out. Nicole has it handled. She doesn't want a lot of people around right now. I'm not people. I'm her aunt. She'll let you know when it's a good time to visit. Nicole never let me know. I tried 3 times over 5 months. September 2017, I texted, "How's Lily doing? Can I come visit this weekend?" She replied 8 hours later, "Hey, she's having a rough week. Chemo side effects are really bad. Maybe wait until she's feeling better." I waited 2 weeks. "How is she? Can I come this weekend?" This weekend isn't good. We have a full schedule with treatments. October 2017. I didn't ask. I just drove to Hartford, 3.5 hours from my parents' house where I was visiting. I brought a stuffed elephant, grey with floppy ears. Nicole met me in the hospital lobby. Her face was exhausted, dark circles. "You can have 45 minutes. She tires easily." Room 412. Lily was so small in that hospital bed. Pale, no hair, IV in her arm, monitors beeping. But when she saw me, she smiled. "Iset bisia happily." Nicole stood in the corner, arms crossed, watching. I gave Lily the elephant. "This is Peanut. He's very brave, just like you." Lily hugged it. "He's soft." "He'll keep you company," I said. We talked for 45 minutes. She told me about the nurses, the food, how she missed her bedroom. When I left, Nicole took the elephant from Lily's arms and set it on a shelf across the room. She needs to rest. November 2017. I asked to visit again. Immediate family only during procedures, hospital policy. It wasn't hospital policy, it was Nicole's policy. I saw medical bills on a table, over $180,000 not covered by insurance. I called my mother. "Let me help with the bills. We're managing. I have savings. I can." "We said we're managing, Claire." January 10th, 2018. I was in the office at Pulse Health, 3 weeks from our Series B pitch. My phone buzzed. "Nicole, she's not gonna make it." 4 words. I called immediately. No answer. I texted back, "I want to see her, please." Nothing. 2 days later. "She's sleeping most of the time now. It's hard for her to have visitors. I'll let you know." I texted back, "I don't need her to be awake. I just need to be there." Read receipt. No response. January 13th, 2018, 6:52 a.m. I was at the office after an all-nighter on my 4th coffee when my phone lit up. "She's gone. She passed an hour ago." I stood up so fast my chair hit the wall. She was 5 years old. I booked a flight within 10 minutes. The funeral was set for January 17th at St. Luke's Church in Darien. When I landed, I texted my mother, "I'm here. What do you need?" "We're handling arrangements. The funeral is Wednesday. Can I come to the house? Everyone's very emotional right now. We'll see you at the funeral." I stayed at a Marriott in Stamford. I sat in that hotel room alone and cried for 3 hours. January 15th, 11:30 p.m. email from my boss, David. "Claire, I know this is your niece's funeral on Wednesday. I am so sorry for your loss, but the Singapore investors are only in town for 24 hours. This meeting determines whether we get our Series B or fold. I have 30 employees, depending on this funding. I can't ask this of you, but I have to. We need you at this pitch. The pitch was Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. The funeral was 11 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. The earliest I could land at JFK after the pitch was 3:20 p.m. I'd missed the funeral entirely. The only option that got me to the funeral was a red-eye landing at 6:45 a.m., but I'd have to skip the pitch. If I skipped, Pulse Health didn't get funding. 30 people lost their jobs. If I went to the meeting, I missed my niece's funeral. I sat in that hotel room until 1 a.m. trying to decide. I called Nicole 4 times. She didn't pick up. Finally, I texted her at 1:15 a.m. Nat, I'm so sorry. My company's Series B pitch is Wednesday, same time as the funeral. The investors are only available that day. If I don't go, we lose everything, and 30 employees lose their jobs. I've tried everything to move it. I can't. I know how this sounds, but I love Lily. I loved her so much. Please know that. I'll visit her grave as soon as I can. I'm so sorry. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. At 8:20 a.m. Wednesday, she replied, "You never loved her. If you did, nothing would stop you from being there. Don't come to the grave. Don't come to the house. You made your choice. Work was always more important than family. Now we all know where we stand." I sat on the edge of that hotel bed and shook. Then I got on a plane back to San Francisco. The pitch meeting was at 10 a.m. in a glass conference room. 6 investors, 2 hours of charts and projections. We got the funding. $6.2 million. 30 people kept their jobs. At 2 p.m. Pacific, while I was shaking hands with investors, my niece was being buried 3,000 miles away. I saw the photos later on Facebook. My mother in a black dress, crying on my father's shoulder. Nicole in sunglasses holding Peanut. The church was full, over 160 people. I pulled up the funeral program. In loving memory of Lily Rose Hart. Under family, it listed Nicole, David, Thomas, Eleanor, David's parents, but my name wasn't there. January 18th, I flew back to Connecticut. I rented a car and drove straight to Spring Grove Cemetery in Darien. 2 p.m., freezing rain, 34 degrees. Fresh flowers covered the grave, roses, lilies, carnations from the funeral. I'd brought white lilies, Lily's namesake flower. The headstone was simple grey granite. Lily Rose Hart, March 15th, 2012 to January 13th, 2018. Forever our angel. I stood there for 90 minutes in the freezing rain. I talked to her. I told her I was sorry. I told her I loved her. I told her I'd made a choice I'd carry for the rest of my life. January 20th. My mother texted me. "We told the family you were too busy with work to attend Lily's funeral. I hope you're satisfied with your priorities." That was the story. Claire didn't love Lily. Claire only cared about her career. Claire was a failure as a person. If stories like this hit something real for you, hit subscribe. But only if you've ever been the one your family decided to blame for everything. For the next 18 months, I was a ghost to my family. Thanksgiving 2018, no invitation. Christmas 2018, same. Easter 2019. She doesn't really do family events anymore, career first. I wasn't invited to any of those events, but at every one my mother told a story about me, and each time I became a little less human and a little more myth. But I went to Lily's grave twice a year, every year. Spring visits around March 15th, her birthday. Winter visits around January 13th, the day she died. White lilies in spring, white roses in winter. I'd sit on the wet grass next to her headstone and talk to her. "I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry they won't let me explain. But I haven't forgotten you, Lily. I'll never forget you." September 2019, Pulse Health got an acquisition offer, $18.5 million. I called my mother for the first time in 6 months. "That's nice, Claire," she said. Then without a pause, "Did you hear Nicole just got promoted to senior director? Real title, real company, real security? When are you going to find something stable?" The call lasted 90 seconds. So I stopped trying to change their story. September 2020, the acquisition closed. After taxes and payouts, I walked away with $8.3 million. I didn't call my family, I didn't post on social media. And the first thought I had wasn't, "What can I buy?" It was, "What can I do for Lily?" I spent 3 days researching. October 28, 2020, 2:15 p.m. I called the Connecticut Children's Foundation. "This is Lawrence Peters, Development Director." A warm voice. "Hi," I said. "I'd like to make a significant anonymous donation specifically for rare disease research, neuroblastoma." "Of course. May I ask what size donation you're considering?" I took a breath. $250,000 to start. A pause. "That's extraordinarily generous. May I ask what inspired this?" "Someone I loved," I said. "Someone who should still be here." Over the next 2 weeks, I set up a donor-advised fund through Fidelity Charitable, completely anonymous. My name would never appear on any hospital records. The instructions: in memory of a child, no name, no plaque, no public recognition. November 20th, 2020, the donation cleared. 5 days later, I received a letter. "Your extraordinary gift of $250,000 will directly fund our neuroblastoma clinical trial, currently in Phase 2. Because of generous donors like you, we are one step closer to ensuring no family has to hear the words, 'There's nothing more we can do.' Your gift will save lives." I read that letter alone in my apartment and cried. Not sad tears, purpose. I thought, "Lily, this is for you and for every child who comes after you." This wasn't a one-time thing. Over the next 4 years, I donated every single year. The amounts grew as my investments did. November 2021, $500,000. November 2022, $750,000. October 2023, $1.1 million. September 2024, $1.2 million. January through October 2025, $800,000. Total donated, $4.6 million. Every donation went through the donor-advised fund, anonymous. The hospital had no idea who I was, but they sent impact reports, 230 children treated, 3 major clinical trials launched, 12 research grants awarded. Every year, Lawrence sent a personal thank you letter. By 2023, the letters got more direct. "Your cumulative giving has transformed our neuroblastoma program. If you ever wish to step forward and be recognized, we would be deeply honored." Every year, I said no. I didn't want recognition. I wanted Lily's death to mean something. But the requests kept coming. I kept refusing until October 15th, 2024. Lawrence called me. I was in my Manhattan apartment. "I know you've always declined recognition," he said, "but this is different. The hospital board voted unanimously to create a new pediatric research and family support center. Your donations make this possible. We'd like to dedicate the center to the child you've been honoring. Would you share their name?" My hands were shaking. Her name was Lily. Lily Hart. "Was she your daughter?" "My niece. She died in January 2018. She was 5 years old." "I'm so sorry," Lawrence said gently. "Would you consider letting us honor her name publicly, and yours?" I thought about it for 3 weeks. I thought about my family telling everyone I didn't love her. Nicole's text, "You never loved her." 7 years of being the villain. And I realized I wasn't asking for their approval anymore. I didn't need them to believe I loved Lily. But Lily deserved to be remembered by name, publicly, and the truth deserved to be told. November 5th, 2024. I called Lawrence back. "Yes, but I have one condition. I need to tell my family first, in person at Thanksgiving, and I need you there when I do." A long pause. "Claire, are you sure? That's going to be very difficult." "It already is difficult. This way it ends." He agreed. I signed the consent form. My donor anonymity would be lifted on November 27th, 2025, Thanksgiving Day. The naming ceremony was set for December 18th, 2025. Now I just had to tell my family, the family that hadn't spoken to me in nearly 7 years. November 10th, 2025, 7:45 p.m. I sat holding my phone for 20 minutes before I called. It rang 4 times, my mother's voice. "Hello, Mom, it's Claire." A pause. "Claire, this is unexpected. I'm coming to Thanksgiving this year, and I'm bringing a guest." Another pause. "A guest? Is it finally a boyfriend?" "No, Mum, someone who knew Lily." I heard her sharp intake of breath. "Claire, that's in extremely poor taste. We don't just bring up, 'I'll see you at 2:30, we'll be there for dinner.'" I hung up before she could respond. The next 2 weeks, I prepared. I reviewed every donation receipt, every thank you letter, every impact report. November 20th, 2025. I drove to Spring Grove Cemetery, 2 p.m. I brought white lilies. I knelt by Lily's grave. "They're going to know now. Everyone is going to know you were loved. Everyone is going to know I never forgot." I stayed for an hour. Before I left, I touched the headstone. "Lily, forgive me if this is the wrong thing to do, but I can't carry their story about me anymore. It's time for the truth." November 27th, 2025. Thanksgiving morning. I stood in front of the mirror in my apartment. Navy dress, simple, professional, hair pulled back. I looked like someone going into battle. Today, everything changes, Asda. Lawrence and I met at a rest stop off I-95 and drove together. He arrived in a dark blue sedan, grey hair, kind eyes, a suit. "You ready for this?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." We arrived at 182 Goodwives River Road in Darien at 2:32 p.m., 6 cars in the driveway, 42 degrees, overcast sky. I rang the doorbell. My mother opened the door. She looked older, greyer hair, more lines around her eyes. She saw me, then Lawrence behind me. Her face drained of colour. "Claire," she said, then to Lawrence. "And you are?" Lawrence extended his hand. "Lawrence Peters, thank you for having me, Mrs. Shaw. Claire has told me wonderful things about your family." My mother didn't shake his hand. Her eyes were sharp. "Who is this, Claire?" "A friend. Is everyone here?" Her jaw tightened. She chose not to make a scene at the door. "Most people," she said tightly. "Come in." The living room was full, 14 people. My father Tom, 64, already holding a beer. My sister Nicole, 38, thinner than I remembered, dark circles. Her husband David beside her. David's parents, Robert and Susan. David's sister Jennifer and her husband Andrew. My mother's sister Patricia, her husband Jim, and their son Eric. My father's brother Victor and his wife Anne. Plus Lawrence, 15 total. Susan lit up when she saw me. "Claire, oh my goodness, it's been years." She crossed the room and gave me a real hug. Patricia said, "Claire, you look wonderful. Who's your friend? This is Lawrence. He works with a children's foundation in Hartford. Oh, charity work. What kind? Connecticut Children's, Lawrence said smoothly. We fund pediatric research. Lovely. And how do you two know each other? We've worked together on a project, I said vaguely. My mother watched from across the room, her mind working. For the next 25 minutes, we made small talk. Weather, football. Lawrence charmed everyone. No one asked why he was really here. My mother tried twice to pull me aside. I deflected. At 4 p.m., my mother announced dinner. The dining room table was set for 14. My mother tried to seat Lawrence at the far end. Lawrence politely said, "Actually, I'd love to sit next to Claire if that's all right." My mother's face flickered with panic. "Of course," she said tightly. Nicole and David sat directly across from me. First time face-to-face with my sister in 6 years. The food was classic Thanksgiving: 18-pound turkey, sweet potato casserole, green bean almondine, rolls, 3 pies. It should have been perfect. Instead, it felt like sitting on a bomb. 15 minutes in, my mother started her pattern. "Nicole, tell everyone about your new project at work. She's leading a major rebrand campaign, very high profile." She glanced at me. Unlike some people, she understands the value of stability, real career, real company. 10 minutes later, "David's doing remarkably well at the firm, partner track. They're talking about making him managing director, real career progression. Not everyone understands that kind of commitment." Another glance at me. 5 minutes later, "Claire, what exactly are you doing these days? Still investing or whatever?" Everyone looked at me. "Something like that," I said calmly. How wonderfully vague. Nicole's role is so clear. Marketing director, real title. Maybe you should ask her for career advice. Nicole looked down at her plate. "Mum, can we please just eat?" 4:35 p.m. Lawrence set down his fork, picked up his wine glass, and stood. The table went quiet. "I just want to take a moment to thank the Shaw family for welcoming me into your home. It's not often I get to meet the family of one of our foundation's most extraordinary supporters." "Claire has been," my mother interrupted sharply. "I'm sorry. Which foundation did you say you're with?" "Connecticut Children's Medical Center Foundation. I'm the development director. Claire and I have been in touch for several years regarding her philanthropic work." My mother stood up abruptly, her chair scraping loudly. "Claire, I need to speak with you in the kitchen right now." "No, Mum." I kept my voice level. "Sit down, Claire. This is completely inappropriate." My father looked confused. "Eleanor, what's going on?" My mother turned to Lawrence, voice sharp. "I think you should leave. This is a private family." "Mum," Nicole said quietly, "what are you doing?" My mother's voice rose. "Get them out now." The room went silent. Lawrence looked at me, confused. I gave him a small nod. "Continue?" "Mrs. Shaw," Lawrence said gently, "I apologize if this is surprising. Claire finally agreed to let us acknowledge her contributions publicly. For the past 6 years, she has been our foundation's largest anonymous donor. Her gifts, totaling $4.6 million, have funded our new pediatric research and family support center. The hospital board voted unanimously to dedicate this center in memory of Lily Hart. We hoped your family would join us on December 18th for the official opening." Silence. Not the polite kind, the stunned kind. 11 full seconds. I counted. Nicole's fork slipped from her hand and hit her plate with a sharp metallic sound. David's mouth opened. No words came out. Susan put both hands over her mouth, eyes filled with tears. Patricia whispered, "Wait, what did he just say?" My father stared at me like he'd never seen me before, his beer forgotten. Victor said loudly, "Did he say $4.6 million?" Lawrence continued calmly. Claire's generosity has already directly saved over 230 children's lives. Her funding has made possible 3 major clinical trials, 12 research grants, and a comprehensive family support program. We wanted to thank her publicly and honor Lily's memory. He sat down. The silence remained. If you've ever been judged for one moment while nobody saw the years of truth behind it, leave a comment. I read every single one. Finally, Patricia found her voice. "Claire, you donated $4 million?" $4.6 million, I said quietly. "Over 6 years." "To the hospital where Lily was treated?" Susan asked, tears streaming. "Yes." Susan turned to Nicole. "Did you know about this?" Nicole shook her head slowly, staring at me like a stranger. "No, I had no idea." "How could you not know?" Victor asked. "Because Claire never told us," my mother said sharply. "She does everything in secret. This is completely inappropriate." I looked directly at her, voice calm but with steel underneath. "Is that what you were going to say? Thanksgiving isn't the place for this?" Lawrence pulled a folder from his briefcase. "I brought documentation." He passed it to my father. Donation timeline from 2020 to 2025, impact reports, architectural renderings of the new center, board resolution, letters from grateful families. The folder made its way around the table. Susan was crying openly. Patricia read aloud. "In loving memory of Lily Rose Hart, whose short life inspired a legacy that will save thousands of children." Oh my God, Claire. Eric, my cousin, who'd never said more than 10 words to me, said quietly, "This is incredible." My father was staring at the documents, his face pale. Nicole was reading a letter from a mother whose daughter had been in one of the trials. Her hands were shaking. My mother stood rigid at the end of the table. David looked at me. "Claire, why didn't you tell anyone?" "Would you have believed me?" I asked. Everyone looked at me. 7 years ago, I missed Lily's funeral because I had to be at a pitch meeting that determined whether 30 people kept their jobs. I made a choice, the wrong choice in many ways, the only choice I could make in others. And Nicole texted me, "You never loved her." I looked at my sister. She was crying now. For 7 years, that's what this family believed, that I didn't love Lily. If I had told you I was donating millions in her name, what would you have said? Nicole's voice was barely a whisper. That you were trying to buy forgiveness. Exactly. So I didn't tell you. I just did it. For 6 years, quietly, because it wasn't about you knowing. It was about Lily being remembered. The table was silent again. Then Patricia turned to my mother. "Eleanor, did you know about this?" My mother's face was stone. "This is not the time." "Did you know?" Patricia pressed. My mother took a breath. "I found out 6 months ago." The room exploded. "You knew?" Nicole's voice cracked. "You knew she was donating to Lily's hospital, and you didn't tell me." My father stood up. "Eleanor, what are you talking about?" "It wasn't my information to share," my mother said defensively. "Claire never told me directly. I happened to see." "You received a letter from the foundation," I said, cutting through the noise. "Didn't you, Mom?" My mother's lips pressed into a thin line. "The foundation sent a donor update to an old address in May, my emergency contact address from college. Your address. You got the letter. You knew I'd been donating. You knew about Lily, and you never said a word." "That letter was addressed to me by mistake. You knew, and you made a choice. You could have told Nicole, you could have told Dad, but you didn't, because if you did, you'd have to admit something." "Admit what?" my mother snapped. That I wasn't the failure daughter, that your entire narrative about me was wrong. That for 10 years you've been telling everyone I don't care about family when I've spent nearly $5 million honoring a little girl you all said I didn't love. My mother's face went red. How dare you turn this into— What did you do with the letter? I asked. She didn't answer. You threw it away, didn't you? Because if you kept it, someone might see it. Someone might ask questions. My father sat down heavily. Eleanor, is this true? My mother didn't answer. Lawrence stood quietly. I think I should give you all some privacy. Claire, the naming ceremony is December 18th at 6 p.m. at the medical center. Everyone here is warmly invited. He handed me his card, nodded politely, and left. The front door closed. 5:02 p.m., 13 people remained at the table. No one ate, no one moved. The food was cold now. After 90 seconds, Richard spoke. I think, he said carefully, we owe Claire an apology. All of us. My mother started to speak. Richard held up his hand. Eleanor, with all respect, your daughter just told us she spent 6 years and nearly $5 million honoring your granddaughter, while you told everyone she didn't care. That's not something we interrupt, that's something we listen to. The silence that followed was different, heavier. I stood. I should go. Claire, wait, Nicole said, her voice thick with tears. But I was already moving. I picked up my bag and walked to the door. Behind me, I heard my mother say, You had no right to ambush this family. I stopped and turned around. You've spent 10 years calling me a failure. You redirected my college fund to pay for Nicole's wedding. You refused to co-sign my medical school loans, but co-signed hers. You gave her $50,000 for a down payment and gave me nothing. You told relatives I was too busy to attend family events I was never invited to. You told everyone I didn't love Lily when I was visiting her grave alone twice a year for 7 years. You built a story about me and told it so many times you believed it. Today, 14 people learned the truth. How does that feel, Mom? I didn't wait for an answer. I walked out. I drove to the Del Mar Hotel in Southport, checked in at 9 p.m., room 214, 10th floor, view of the harbor. I sat on the edge of the bed and realized I wasn't shaking anymore. For the first time in 7 years, I'd told the truth out loud, and I hadn't asked for permission. At 11:20 p.m., my phone buzzed. Nicole, can we talk? I stared at the message. Now. I'm in your hotel parking lot. I guessed you'd come here. You always liked this place. I looked out the window. Her car. She was sitting in the driver's seat, phone glowing. Room 214, come up. She knocked at 11:28. I opened the door. Her eyes were swollen, mascara smudged. She looked young and old at the same time. I didn't know, she said immediately, about any of it. The donations, the money, Mum hiding the letter. I swear to God, Claire, I had no idea. I believe you. Why didn't you tell me? Her voice broke. Why didn't you tell me you were doing all of this for Lily? I stepped aside and let her in. She sat in the armchair by the window. I sat on the edge of the bed. Would you have listened? 7 years ago, you told me I never loved her. Why would I come to you after that? Because I'm her mother, Nicole said, tears streaming. Because she was my daughter, and you should have— Should have what? Convinced you I cared? Defended myself? I shook my head. Nat, you were drowning in grief. You needed someone to blame. I was the easy target. I made the choice to miss her funeral. That was real. That hurt you. I understood that. But you loved her, Nicole whispered. So much. God, Nicole, I loved that little girl so much. And not being there when she died, that's something I'll carry forever. The pitch meeting, that was real? Yes, If I didn't go, the company folded. 30 people lost their jobs. I had no choice. You had a choice, Nicole said. You chose work. I chose to keep 30 people employed. And I chose to honor Lily in the only way I could after that. By making sure her death saved other children. By making sure her name meant something. We sat in silence for a long moment. Mom always made you the problem, Nicole said finally. She always compared us. I let her do it. I'm so sorry, Claire. She needed a scapegoat, and I was convenient. But $4.6 million. Claire, how did you? I sold my company in 2020. The acquisition was worth more than I expected, and I didn't have anyone else to spend it on. So I spent it on Lily. Every year, anonymously, because it wasn't about recognition. It was about her. Nicole was crying again. The hospital is naming the center after her. The Lily Hart Pediatric Research and Family Support Center. Opening December 18th. Lawrence said 230 children are alive because of the funding. 3 clinical trials, 12 research grants, families getting support. Can I come to the opening? I looked at her, my sister, the golden child, who'd lost her daughter and blamed me for 7 years. Yes, I'd like that. She stood, walked to the door, turned back. Can I hug you? I nodded. She crossed the room. We held each other, first time since January 17th, 2018. 7 years. We both cried for 30 seconds. No words, just held on. She left at 12:15 a.m. Then she texted, "Thank you for everything. For Lily, for not giving up on her, even when we gave up on you." I sat on the bed holding my phone. It rang. Dad calling. I almost didn't answer, but I did. "Your mother is very upset," he said. No greeting. I imagine she is. She says you humiliated her in front of the whole family. I told the truth in front of the whole family. There's a difference. He was quiet. Did you really donate that much money? Yes. For Lily? Yes. Another long silence. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me, Dad? Or would you have thought I was trying to buy my way back into the family? He didn't answer. That was an answer. Your mother needs time. So do I, and if she's never ready, then I'll know I tried. That's enough. I hung up. December 18th, 2025, 6 p.m., Connecticut Children's Medical Center, Hartford. I arrived at 5:45. The main lobby had been transformed. Banners, 200 people, hospital staff, donors, board members, families with children, some in wheelchairs, some running around healthy. Nicole and David arrived right after me. She wore a black dress, looked nervous. "You came?" I said. "Of course I came. I wouldn't miss this." My parents didn't come. I'd invited them. My mother never responded. My father texted, "Your mother isn't ready. I don't think I can come without her." "I'm sorry," I replied. "I understand." At 6:15, Lawrence took the podium. Tonight, we honor 2 people. One who left us far too soon, and one who ensured her legacy would save thousands of lives. Lily Rose Hart was 5 years old when she died from neuroblastoma in January 2018, but her Aunt Claire refused to let that be the end of Lily's story. For 6 years, Claire Shaw donated anonymously to our foundation, $4.6 million. She asked for no recognition except that her gifts fund neuroblastoma research and family support. Because of Claire's generosity, 230 children are alive today. 3 major clinical trials have been completed or are underway. 12 research grants have been awarded. Claire has shown us that love doesn't always announce itself, that the quietest acts of devotion can have the loudest impact. On behalf of every child whose life you've saved, thank you. The applause was deafening. They unveiled the plaque. Bronze, simple, beautiful. The Lily Hart Pediatric Research and Family Support Center. Established 2025 in loving memory of Lily Rose Hart, March 15, 2012 to January 13, 2018. Funded by Claire Shaw, so that no family walks this path alone. Nicole was sobbing beside me. I put my arm around her. We stood together looking at Lily's name on the wall. After the ceremony, a woman approached me, maybe 35, with a little girl about 7, bright smile, pink dress. "Miss Shaw, I'm Jennifer Morris. This is my daughter Sophie. She was in the Phase 2 neuroblastoma trial your funding made possible. She's been in remission for 18 months. I knelt down. "Hi, Sophie." "Thank you for helping me," Sophie said. She handed me a crayon drawing, a little girl holding hands with a doctor. At the top in wobbly letters, "Thank you for saving me." I took the drawing, my throat closed up. "You're very welcome, Sophie. You're very brave." Jennifer was crying. "We prayed for 2 years. We didn't know who funded the trial. Now we know. My daughter is alive because of you." "She's alive because she's a fighter," I said. "And because the doctors here refused to give up." "They didn't give up because you gave them the tools they needed," Jennifer said. "Thank you." They took a photo with me in front of Lily's plaque. The local news was there. They asked if they could interview me. I said yes. "Why did you donate anonymously for so long?" the reporter asked. "Because it wasn't about me. It was about making sure a little girl who died too young would have a legacy that saved other children." "And why go public now?" I looked at the plaque, at Lily's name. "Because she deserves to be remembered by name, publicly, and because the truth matters." That night, the story ran on local news. Anonymous donor revealed, $4.6 million legacy honors 5-year-old girl. By morning, it was picked up by CNN, Good Morning America, The New York Times. My phone exploded. My mother didn't call. Christmas, 2025. I spent it alone in my Manhattan apartment. Snow falling, coffee, a book, silence. At 10 a.m., Nicole texted, "Merry Christmas. I wish you were here. Mum's not talking to anyone. Dad's miserable. I told them they're being ridiculous." I replied, "Merry Christmas. Maybe next year." At 3 p.m., my father called. "Merry Christmas, Claire." "Merry Christmas, Dad." A long pause. "I saw the news coverage. You looked good." "Thanks." "Your mother saw it too. She didn't say anything." "I'm not waiting for her to apologize, Dad. I'm not waiting for her to admit she was wrong. I'm just living my life." "She's very stubborn." "So am I. I wonder where I got it." 2 days later, a package arrived from Nicole. A framed photo of Lily, age 4, huge smile, holding Peanut the elephant. The card said, "She loved you, Claire. I'm sorry it took me this long to see it. Thank you for never stopping." Then, I put the photo on my mantle next to Sophie's drawing. The first Saturday of every month, I meet Nicole for coffee in Stamford, neutral ground. We talk slowly, carefully, about Lily, about our childhood, about the roles we were trapped in. "Mum needed me to be perfect," Nicole said in February, "and she needed you to be the failure. It was never about who we actually were." "No," I agreed. "It was about her story." "I'm seeing a therapist too. She says the golden child and the scapegoat are both forms of abuse." She's right. Lawrence invited me to join the board of Connecticut Children's Foundation officially. I accepted. I attend meetings, meet other donors, other advocates, people who've lost children or had children who survived. People who understand that grief can become purpose. February 14, 2026, Valentine's Day. I drove to Darien, not to my parents' house, to Spring Grove Cemetery. 2 p.m., snow melting, 38 degrees. I brought 12 white roses and a stuffed elephant identical to Peanut. I sat on the ground next to Lily's headstone. The grass was wet, my jeans got soaked. I didn't care. I talked to her. "Hey Lily, it's me, Claire. I wanted to tell you, they know now. Everyone knows I loved you. Everyone knows I never forgot. There's a whole center with your name on it. Kids are getting treatment because of you. Families are getting support because you existed. 230 children are alive because your life mattered. I don't know if Grandma will ever forgive me for missing your funeral. Maybe she won't. But I don't need her forgiveness anymore because I know the truth, and you know the truth. And every child in that hospital with your name on the wall knows the truth. I'm sorry I wasn't there when you died, Lily. I'll carry that forever. But I hope wherever you are, you can see what I did, and you know it was all for you. You were loved. You are loved. You will always be loved." I left the roses, the elephant, a handwritten note tucked under the flowers. "You are loved forever, Aunt Claire." I took a photo of my hand resting on her headstone. Just my hand, the grey granite, the flowers. I posted it on Instagram. No caption, just the photo. Within an hour, it had 3,000 likes. Comments poured in. Nicole texted me. "She knows, Claire. I promise you she knows." As I was leaving the cemetery, I passed an older couple visiting a nearby grave. They looked at Lily's headstone. The woman stopped, read the inscription, turned to her husband. "That's the little girl from the news, the one the hospital named the center after." I kept walking, but I was smiling. Because yes, that's exactly who she was. If you've ever loved someone quietly while a whole family told the story wrong, tell me what happened in the comments. Someone reading your story might need it tonight. They called me a failure for 10 years, and maybe I was, by their definition. I didn't marry well. I didn't follow their path. I chose work over a funeral, a choice that haunts me every single day. But here's what I learned. Your family's version of you isn't the truth. It's just a story they need to tell themselves. And you don't have to live inside that story. I didn't donate $4.6 million to prove them wrong. I did it because a little girl I loved deserved to be remembered. Because 230 other children deserved a chance to live. Because grief, when you let it, can become purpose. My mother still hasn't called. She might never call, but I don't need her approval anymore. I don't need her to say I'm enough, because I know I am. Lily knows I am. Every child in that hospital with her name on the wall knows I am. That's the family that counts. The truth is this. Your silence can become your greatest power. Your quiet acts of love can echo louder than anyone's judgment. And the family you choose, through purpose, through shared values, through genuine care, that family matters more than the one you were born into. I brought a guest to Thanksgiving. He said one sentence, and my mother's world collapsed. But mine finally made sense.